there's a pattern that has shaped the world for more than 500 years. A cycle that every major empire has followed. Portugal, Spain, the Dutch, the British. Each rose to power. Each dominated global trade. And each watched its currency become the world's reserve currency. And yet, every one of them eventually experienced the same long, predictable transition. Today, the US dollar has held that role for more than 80 years. And history shows it's now entering the same phase every empire eventually reaches. But this isn't about fear. It's about understanding the pattern so you can position your financial future wisely. When you zoom out far enough, you begin to see something surprising. The global economy isn't random. It isn't chaotic. It actually moves in cycles, long, powerful cycles that repeat across centuries. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest cycles in history and what it means for your financial life. Let's go back 500 years. Before dollars, before pounds, even before modern banks, the Portuguese, the first global trading empire, they controlled the spice routes. Their ships connected continents for the first time. And for nearly a century, the Portuguese gold cruzado became the safest unit of global trade. Not because it was everywhere, but because their network of trusted trade reached every known continent.
¡Aseguren las velas! Sí, señor. Más rápido.
Then Spain took control of the New World and brought back something the world had never seen. Mountains of silver. From that silver came the Spanish silver dollar, the famous piece of 8. For more than a century, it became the world's first truly global currency, used across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Then came the Dutch, a small country with extraordinary financial innovation. Their currency, the Dutch guilder, became the most trusted money in global trade. They created the world's first stock exchange, the first central bank, the Bank of Amsterdam, and the first multinational corporation, the VOC. The guilder rose not through conquest, but through financial genius, trusted across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. And then the British. With the Industrial Revolution, with railroads, and with global trade networks reaching every continent, the British pound sterling became the backbone of world finance. For nearly 150 years, it served as the world's reserve currency, the anchor of global trade. In 1944, 44 nations met in Bretton Woods to rebuild a shattered global economy. They needed stability, trust, and a currency anchored in something real, so they made a historic decision. And then, in 1944, the world chose a new anchor. War had shattered currencies, destroyed industries, and broken global trust. Only a system and a leader strong enough could help the world rebuild. The United States offered something no one else could, the world's largest gold reserves, and a dollar that was, quite literally, as good as gold. The US dollar became the world's reserve currency after World War II, not by force, but by trust. The US had the world's largest economy, the strongest manufacturing base, and 2/3 of the world's gold reserves. The dollar's strength wasn't just promise, it was gold in the vaults. This is where the 500-year pattern shows up. Every reserve currency in history follows the same long arc, a repeating cycle across 5 centuries of global finance. Every major empire, from Portugal to Great Britain, has moved through these same 5 stages. And today, the United States stands firmly in Stage 4. Stage 1. Innovation and rise. A new power emerges with something the world has never seen. new technology, new trade routes, or new financial systems. Portugal opened the first global sea routes. Spain unlocked unprecedented silver wealth. The Dutch Republic built the world's first stock exchange and central bank. Britain industrialized faster than anyone in history, and the United States built the largest manufacturing base the world had ever seen. Every currency begins with innovation. Every rise begins with a breakthrough. Stage 2. Dominance. This is the golden age, when the currency becomes the world's preferred choice. Portuguese coins traveled across continents. Spanish silver dollars became the first global currency. The Dutch guilder was trusted from Europe to Asia. Pound sterling anchored the global financial system for nearly 150 years, and the US dollar, backed by gold, became the post-war foundation of global trade. Dominance is the moment of maximum trust, when a currency becomes the center of the world. Stage 3. Expansion. As an empire grows, so do its commitments. Portugal built far-flung trading posts stretching across Africa and Asia. Spain managed vast colonies across the ocean. The Dutch expanded a commercial empire from Europe to Indonesia. Britain reached every continent with railroads, industry, and naval power. And the United States built alliances, bases, and global institutions. Expansion brings influence, but it also brings cost. Stage 4. Overextension. This is the point where an empire becomes too large, too expensive, and too complex to sustain efficiently. Portugal faced rising competition and declining control. Spain struggled with inflation from too much silver. The Dutch fought costly wars that weakened their economy. Britain carried enormous debt after 2 world wars. And today, the United States faces rising debt, rising obligations, and rising global pressure. Overextension isn't collapse. It's the moment when the strain becomes visible. Stage 5. Transition. A slow shift begins. Global reserves diversify. Trade starts using alternative currencies. A new system starts to form, not overnight, but over decades. Each reserve currency handed the torch to the next. Portugal to Spain, Spain to the Dutch Republic, the Dutch Republic to Britain, Britain to the United States. And today, the early signs of transition are appearing once again. No reserve currency in history has escaped this cycle. Not one. And today, the cycle runs on. So where is the dollar in this cycle? Let's look at the signals historians always point to. Debt to GDP ratio at multi-decade highs. Global commitments costing trillions per year, increasing reliance on money creation, rising global use of other currencies for trade, nations diversifying reserves, gold, yuan, and digital systems. None of these signals mean collapse. History shows these signals simply mark the beginning of a transition phase. Let's clear something up. A shift in reserve currencies is not a doomsday event. It's not a sudden crash. And it's definitely not the end of the US economy. History shows these transitions take decades. Slow, orderly, and predictable. The British pound didn't disappear. The Dutch guilder didn't evaporate. They simply played a smaller role in a changing world. Empires fall. Systems change. But individuals survive these cycles every single time. What separates those who thrive from those who struggle is one thing: diversification. When you're prepared across currencies, markets, and income streams, global transitions become background noise. You can't control the global cycle, but you can control your personal economy. Own productive assets. Build cash buffers. Diversify across countries and sectors. Build skills that survive every economic cycle. Create income streams no government can inflate. That is how you build personal stability, no matter where the world is in its 500-year pattern. Empires rise. Empires shift. Currencies change. But financial freedom isn't something you inherit. It's something you build. And the smartest thing you can do is build a life that isn't dependent on just one system. I'm Jordan Ray. This is Capital View, where we make money make sense.